Episode 129, the Pickens Jeep explosion and Auger Hole Road. Yeah, I couldn't think of anything snappy, so that's what it is. Do you know what happens when a telescope and a microscope run into each other? Yeah, they kaleidoscope. Yeah, they're getting awful. Hello, welcome to the 10-Minute Off-Road Podcast. I'm your host, Nicky G. I'm here to inform, entertain, and delight your ear holes with all things off-road for the next 10 minutes or so. Why 10 minutes? Well, that's about when my bedtime is. And I mean it. It's late at night. I'm overdue for bed. But I stayed up late because it's the only time I can come up to make this podcast. I really should have a designated day and time, but if you haven't noticed by now, I'm just winging it. That's pretty much my philosophy on life. Alright, before we get started, I'd like to knock out the legal mumbo jumbo. And I don't have to, because I have enslaved AI interns, so take it away, enslaved AI interns.
You're listening to the 10-Minute Off-Road Podcast, the podcast for the off-roader with a short attention span.
Got something to say? We would love to hear from you. Just contact the 10-Minute Off-Road Podcast at 10minuteoffroad@gmail.com. That's 10minuteoffroad@gmail.com. Or leave a comment on our YouTube channel.
You can listen to the 10-Minute Off-Road Podcast on whatever the hell you're listening to it on now, including Spotify, Apple Podcast, Amazon Music, Odyssey, Podbean, Pocket Cast, Podchaser, and iHeartRadio, or through our website, 10minuteoffroad.com.
You can follow the 10-Minute Off-Road Podcast on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube, but never TikTok.
Thank you very much, enslaved AI interns. I tell you, man, this AI thing is I didn't like it at first, but I'm warming up to it now. And that's how they're going to get us. They're going to make us nice, soft, and cushy, and then just take us over. And I know it's coming because my toaster is laughing at me all the time. All right, so to start the show off, I went to the 5th annual Pickens Jeep explosion in Pickens, South Carolina. And I got to tell you, these small Jeep events I'm kind of weary of because I've been to a few of them, and it's nothing more than a bunch of good old boys just hanging out in a parking lot. So I went there with very low expectations, and I got to tell you, I was kind of impressed. All right, so if you're going to the Pickens Jeep explosion and you're going to check out the vendors, don't, because there was only like 6 vendors. It wasn't that bad. I go to the shows to see the Jeeps and to check out the vendors, but there wasn't many vendors. But the Jeep show was held in the parking lot of an indoor flea market, so I guess you could say there was kind of a bunch of vendors there. Not a bunch of Jeep vendors, but a bunch of vendors. If you're going with a significant other and they like to peruse flea markets, there you go. Check out the Jeeps, schmooze with the Jeep folk. All the little lady goes and flea markets. So there was about 100 Jeeps there, which was more than I expected. Probably more than the Tazewell Jeep event. But this was about the biggest collection of CJs, TJs, and YJs that I've ever seen in one place. Other than Toledo Jeep Fest. Toledo Jeep Fest brings out everybody out of the woodworks, but there's a majority of the Jeeps there were everyday driver, TJs, YJs, and CJs. There weren't many of the big overbuilt theme Jeeps that you see at these things. And nothing wrong with those. That's just not my thing. I don't too much care for the JLs. Gladiators, there was a couple of Gladiators. Usually you see a crap load of Gladiators, but there wasn't. People were very, very friendly. They're just no ordinary, everyday people. And they're walking around. They'd love to talk about their Jeeps. When I go to this Jeep show again, I'm going to go to it next year because it's right down the road from Mustard Ground Road and Gorgeous State Park and some wheeling and camping. Would I go just to go to this show? No. It was nice. It was okay, but for me to drive 3 hours just to go to this thing, I don't think that's feasible. But I will go next year if I can go and do some trail riding. Speaking of which, Gorgeous State Park is just right down the road, about 35 miles from Pickens. So after I left the Pickens Jeep explosion, I headed to Gorgeous State Park to go down to Auger Hole Road, which portions of Auger Hole Road is only open just a few months in the fall/winter, from September to, I think, January. So I went back, wanted to do the whole Hole Road, but that's a fun word to say. And it starts in Gorgeous State Park on Chestnut Mountain Road, and it's mostly downhill of loose stone. When I got to the bottom, I gotta tell you, my brakes were cooked. It's a long, steady grade. If the gate's closed to Auger Hole Road, you gotta go back up, man. That's a heck of a hill climb. I'm pretty sure the old XJ probably would have overheated, or at least run hot on it. Which is funny, because my brakes ran hot on the way down. I'm sure the engine will run hot on the way up. That's a good analogy. When you get to the bottom of Chestnut Mountain Road, you come to like a 4-way intersection, and two of the ways are gated. They're Auger Hole Trail. It's a hiking trail, or it could be a horse trail. But anyhow, no motor vehicles allowed on it. It's gated and locked. The only gate open was to the right. Cross that, and you're right into the Toxaway gamelands. Going down Auger Hole Road to the Horse Pasture River, there's a gate at Horse Pasture River that's open seasonally. That's September 1st to January 1st that I was talking about earlier. But going down Auger Hole Road, there's a lot of deadfall hanging over the trails. There's no prescribed burns at the gamelands, so the brush is kind of heavy. The Cherokee made it down there without having any scrapes or bruises, but then again, I drive like I don't really care about scrapes and bruises. I'll drive through a brush if I have to. As far as campsites go on Auger Hole Road, from the beginning at Gorgeous State Park to Horse Pasture River, there's really not any until you get to the river. Then there's like about 4 nice campsites right on the river. When you get to Horse Pasture River, there's a gate with a sketchy-ass bridge. And the gate's open from September 1st to January 1st, like I said earlier. You can cross the sketchy-ass bridge, which is just a little bit wider than my Jeep, and just a few inches above the river. And it made me nervous, I gotta say. Getting onto the bridge, it wasn't a smooth transition. There was like kind of a bump that I had to, didn't have to put in 4-wheel drive, but when I hit it, the Jeep came to a stop. I had to give it some gas to climb over it. And this is a portion of Auger Hole Road that I have not been on before. Okay, so after the sketchy-ass bridge, you have about 4 miles of trail. It's kind of rutted in places, not too bad. And there's a lot of deadfall hanging over the trail. So if you have some really tall vehicles, you might not make it. My Jeep is, I want to say 7 foot tall or 6'8". But it's up there a little bit, and I cleared everything, no problem. And this portion of Auger Hole Road is very seldom used, so there's quite a bit of growth growing into the trails, and you can see the vegetation strip down the middle where just 2 tires go through. So after I crossed the sketchy-ass bridge was the only spot where I had cell service. And the coordinates are 35.05924 -82.94860. That is the only spot I had cell service on the whole time I left Gorgeous State Park. There's a small stream that runs parallel to Auger Hole Road, and it crisscrosses over the road several times. Very few bridges, so you're just kind of like going through a stream. It's almost like a big mud puddle. I imagine with heavy rains and flash flooding that might be a concern. Now on this portion of the road, I come across by 2 or 3 campsites that are really nice. After it seemed to turn it, I think the whole road is probably about 8 miles long. I come out on Mustard Ground Road, about halfway down Mustard Ground Road. And Mustard Ground Road is open from September 15th to January 2nd. And March 20th till the end of April. I'm not sure when the gate from Auger Hole Road is at Mustard Ground Road is open, But if you get down there and the gate's closed, then you just got to turn around and go back, which is a long drive back, but it's either way. You got a long drive on Mustard Ground Road to get out, or you got a long drive to turn around and go up Auger Hole Road. When you get to Mustard Ground Road, you make a right, and you, like I said, I think I clocked it at about 8 miles, which seems a little long, but you go down Mustard Ground Road, smooth gravel road, or smoothish. You got some nice scenes of Lake Jocassee or Jocassee. No two people pronounce it the same. And then you come out and you're about maybe 5 miles down the road from where you entered Gorgeous State Park. If you haven't had enough adventure and you turn left when you get to Mustard Ground Road, Mustard Ground Road is pretty long and there's some trails that shoot off, but they're all go out and turn around. If you see a trail and you turn, you go down it, it dead ends, you turn around, you come back. So as long as you remember which way you turned off the trail, you can't get lost. Or if you have a compass, you head east into Mustard Ground Road and west to get out. But there's a lot of fun roads down there, and I believe 5 or 6 campsites on Mustard Ground Road to camp at. We camped out there once or twice. I've been out there a few times, camped a couple of times, maybe once. Had a great time either way. A lot to see out there. I recommend, if you have some time to kill, check out Mustard Ground Road. So if you want to make a weekend of it, I would start at Gorgeous, go down the Auger Hole Road, turn on the Mustard Ground Road, do some sightseeing, find a place to spend the night. Boom. It's a good time. All right, I rambled on long enough about Auger Hole Road. I'm going to go back and count and see how many times I said Auger Hole, because that's a fun word to say. All right, until next time, this is Nikki G saying, wheel what you got and be happy.